I didn't know this, and I want to know if it's true. And if it is true, we should all know this from a really young age. So my friend's pregnant, and she was telling me that the placenta, which like gives nutrients to the baby, you know, it is like core to growing a baby, is 98% the man.
If you're planning on making your own tiny humans, there is one very important aspect of baby making that is mostly the father's responsibilities, the placenta. And its growth is mostly influenced by the father's genes. In fact, pregnancy is basically a massive internal land grab. The maternal immune system essentially fighting off the foreign placenta, and the paternal genes pushing for more fetal growth. And the placenta isn't a gentle cooperative organ. It's an almost parasitic entity that hijacks the mother's body to get the fetus what it wants. The father's gene determines how aggressive and how deep the placenta invades into the uterus and the demands on the mother. It's like an alien species terraforming the uterus to maximize resource extraction from the mother to optimize fetal growth. And because placental formation is heavily influenced by paternal genes, there are actually pregnancy-related complications which could be considered failures of paternal biology, like preeclampsia. This happens when the placenta doesn't implant deeply enough and causes poor blood flow to the fetus. Paternal genes can also influence gestational diabetes, miscarriages, and even fetal growth restriction. Despite the biological reality, society still continues to act as though pregnancy is solely the woman's responsibility and burden. But building a human Tamagotchi is not a solo project.
I just learned this off TikTok, that if you magnetize forks, apparently, the prongs, if they're two of the same fork, you can, like, flick electrons off of it, and then it, like, positively charges. That's pretty cool. Well, what do you know?
Things about Russian-Ukrainian conflict Americans don't understand. I was born in Russia and I will live in the US, and I grew up at the border between Russia and Ukraine. I have a lot of friends in Ukraine, and a lot of them ran in 2014 when the military conflict started. In 2014. That's the first thing Americans don't understand. Armed military conflict started years before. Just the news didn't show it. By the way, I'm not driving. Number 2, Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine of right now, was elected basically as a joke. There was a series filmed by Ukraine and Russia together, and the main character of the series is Zelensky, who is playing president there. So they implanted this idea into Ukrainian people's brains long time ago. And Zelensky lived and worked in Moscow as an actor. And he started his acting career as a comedian. And everybody, I don't understand Ukrainians, we all grew up watching him dancing on the stage, being a comedian, filming in some small movies. And also the main line of his entire career as a comedian, most of these guys who were fighting in this contest, comedian contest, it's called KVN. The guys that were there, they always dreamed to be in a high-end society. That was the only way to get to the big stage. It's like America's Got Talents, but for comedians. So from very early stages of his career, Zelensky showed very clearly that he will do anything for money. He was dancing on a pole dance shoes, going on the stage half naked, participating in parties, anywhere he could potentially be noted. So him becoming a president in the first place, it is a marketing campaign. And the situation between Ukraine and Russia is a conflict supported so much by marketing, political marketing.
Natalie Harb. She is a very young, beautiful woman whose job is to follow Trump around with a printer to print positive articles and nice things people are saying about him.
Trump will hardly read anything unless it's printed out by Natalie and handed to him.
Apparently, people are saying that she's unfireable because she is so loyal to Trump. If Trump wants to send out one of his controversial tweets, he'll tell her to do it. And of course, that gets done right away without any, "Are you sure, Mr. President?"
What I've heard from my sources is that she's one of the most powerful people in the White House. why. She prints out these articles and hands them to the president, and that's his inflow of news. She has a hugely tight control about the content that he takes in on a day-to-day basis.
It makes sense because, as we know, with Trump, loyalty comes number one. She's even been spotted chasing his golf cart on foot to deliver articles.
This woman, I think, had some sort of form of cancer and credits Trump with saving her life because of the right to try, which is an order that he had enabling patients to get access to treatments that weren't necessarily approved or finalized yet. So she has this huge love for the president for literally saving her life.
Tattoos and piercings, I'm going to say, is something that some guys might have a preference for. But with everybody that I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of doctors now, I've talked to psychologists, I've talked to sons of doctors that are product of a lineage of doctors and surgeons. And it's like, these guys all make the same observation. Every woman that sort of comes into their clinic with issues, is in an ER room or any of these things, they've created the drama of their circumstances that they're in, and there's a direct correlation between the tattoos and the markings on their body and the bullshit that's going on in their life. So to me, it's a red flag. Again, I understand some guys have a preference for it. Try dating women without tattoos is, one thing that I could at least recommend you trying.
The reason why you're having a hard time sleeping is because the Earth is going through an ascension process. The Schumann resonance has been spiking, and if you're ascending with the new Earth, you are going to feel it. If you're feeling overwhelmed, depressed, anxious, having ringing in the ears, trouble sleeping, or you're oversleeping because your body needs rest, these are all signs that you are shifting with the new Earth. The ascension process is not smooth and easy and can feel chaotic. So just know the louder the chaos, the closer you are to the new beginning, or the closer you are to breaking through the new beginning. So this is a good sign that you are aligning with your highest good. So rather than feeling chaotic or overwhelmed or that you're on the wrong path, it's actually a sign that you're exactly where you need to be because you are shifting with the new Earth. And not everybody is going to shift. It's an individual thing. It's just a sign that you are adjusting your frequencies to match the new Earth's frequency. Because the Earth is going through an ascension process as well. And all the chaos that you're seeing is just a sign that the Earth is shedding the old and allowing the new to come in. And the exact same thing happens on an individual level. If you're feeling depression, think about it as compression, which means you're going within and you're navigating the changes that you're going through. Rather than feeling like you're depressed, you're just going through a transitional period. So all of these signs are just part of the ascension process. And rather than feeling overwhelmed, just know that new beginnings are right around the corner.
Y'all are not even ready for what I'm about to show you. Let's just say that 2025 so far has not been on anyone's bingo card. Okay, y'all ready for this? Researchers have discovered the first ever fossilized human brain from a young man who died during the Mount Vesuvius eruption 2,000 years ago. This is glass. This young man's brain transformed into glass in an extremely hot cloud of ash. I wasn't gonna say it, but this is really taking blowing your mind to a whole other level. Researchers found these small chunks of black material inside his skull back in 2020, not knowing exactly what it was. Now they believe a hot ash cloud of around 510 degrees Celsius surrounded the body, then quickly cooled to turn his brain into glass. This is the only known case of human tissue, or any organic material for that matter, turning to glass. Researchers say this phenomenon is super rare, but not technically impossible. Their theory is that a pyroclastic flow, which is a fast-moving flow of hot gas and volcanic material, buried the man and caused this bizarre transformation. The one aspect that is stumping scientists is how could this pyroclastic flow hit such extremely high temperatures and then cool down fast enough to form glass. Creating glass isn't easy. It requires very specific temperature conditions and very rarely happens naturally. What's even more intriguing is that no other organs turn to glass, only the brain. Scientists think that maybe the skull provides some kind of unique protection that somehow allowed the perfect conditions to transform into glass, something the other organs didn't have. But how wild is that? We officially have gotten our first glass brain. If you like science worth sharing, then give us a follow everywhere at TL Science.
When fathers aren't around, you'll often see little boys who are more impulsive, who are more aggressive. Fathers and mothers are both critical to the development of children, which is a very controversial thing to say today, because if you're raised without one, you are missing a piece. But they're not the same. And they're not the same because our hormones dictate they're not the same. So fathers produce a hormone in great quantities called vasopressin. Vasopressin is the protective aggressive hormone. And what does it do? It helps fathers to protect their family. There was a study that was done where mothers and fathers lay in bed and the baby cries, and the fathers sleep through the baby's distress cries, but the mothers wake up right away. With the rustling of leaves outside the window, the mothers sleep through it and the fathers wake up right away because the fathers are attuned to predatory threat. So our nurturing hormones make us different. I mean, the fact that we can say that there are many things that are similar between women and men, of course, we're both intelligent, we can both be ambitious, but I think the idea that we want to kind of make everything the same when it's just not factual. It is the inconvenient truth that mothers and fathers' nurturing hormones dictate that if they are healthy and they've been raised in a healthy environment, they are different. Now, does that mean that a father can't raise a child and be a sensitive, empathic nurturer? It doesn't mean he can't take on that role. But if, as a society, we can't acknowledge the differences, then a father can't learn to be a sensitive, empathic nurturer, meaning these are instinctual behaviors. And so that infant, if that father is going to stay home with that baby, acknowledging the differences allows that father then to become a sensitive, empathic nurturer.
You know what I just realized about relationships? A guy starts off by putting 100% in the beginning of a relationship. And over time, that will slowly go down from like 100 to 95 to 90 to 80 to 85. And then you notice, and you only notice when it goes down to like 75 or 80%, and then you say something. And then when you say something, he puts back 5% effort and you're content. You're like, okay, he put in some effort, but it never goes back up to 100 or 90 or 95. It just goes from like that 75 to 80. And then it goes back down again to like 70. And then it goes down to 60. Long story short, it'll just go back down to 10% when it started at 100.
If a man does this, it is not because he has a problem giving effort. The problem he has is giving that effort, but not receiving any effort back. And of course, early on in dating, that man, he knows he's expected to give. And so he does that. But at some point, he has to feel like he's going to get some amount of reciprocation. Because honestly, that man is just trying to figure out if you actually like him. And if you're not giving any effort back, he's starting to think that you don't. And so why should he continue investing in you if he thinks that you don't even like him?
You're telling me a fucking cartoon just put the entire medical industry to shame in a 12-second clip? Just watch.
Denied? You're denying my claim? I don't understand. I have full coverage.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Hoganson, but our liability is spelled out in paragraph 17. States clearly.
Pay for this?
I'd like to help you, but I can't. I'd like to tell you to take a copy of your policy to Norma Wilcox on Norma Wilcox, WILCOX on the 3rd floor. Are you saying we shouldn't help our customers?
The law requires that I answer no.
We're supposed to help people.
We're supposed to help our people, starting with our stockholders, Bob. Who's helping them out, huh?
Isn't that exactly what this doctor warned us about?
If you figure out a way to help patients heal, and that way doesn't include a pill or a surgery, well, then the hospital and the doctor are in big trouble, because if you figure out a way to help people heal and you can't charge them for it, well, then you've just worked yourself out of a job.
Which is exactly what happened to this doctor right after he exposed all the crazy health benefits from taking one single vitamin.
I stumbled on this by accident. I was taking this vitamin. I never took it before. Go to sleep, wake up, and I just noticed, like, all this stiffness that I would normally have because of all the injuries to my spine. It's like someone to put WD-40 in my joints. I'm like, why am I feeling so loose? So I'm like, oh, I took that vitamin the day before, specifically in the mitochondria, and it's a precursor to this molecule called NAD. And NAD is involved in over 400 different genes, so it's a really important molecule.
So I did a deep dive looking into NAD, and I found out that it's something that celebrities use and call the fountain of youth. But it's actually something we produce naturally, and as we age, we start to lose it, and by the time we're 30, we've lost 50% of it, and that decline continues every single year. And when we become low in NAD, we start experiencing things like inflammation, fatigue, low collagen repair, and even aging faster than normal. So an increase in fine lines, wrinkles, gray hair, and even joint pain. But by taking the vitamin he was talking about, we can actually replenish our NAD levels back to what they were in our 20s and basically hit the rewind button on all of our cells.
Today I want to tell you about this unique guy. Look at how he uses telekinesis to influence the water. It's just crazy. In fact, it really works. And if you want to know how it works, then you should go here.
Come with me down a rabbit hole. We all know this guy, yeah? Nikola Tesla. 1856 to 1943. Nikola Tesla. Wonderful man. This over here, you know, kind of depicting his work on the Tesla coil, one of his most famous inventions, although he was a smart dude. He came up with a lot of really, really interesting stuff, but this is what he's best known for. So, if you don't know what a Tesla coil is or does, basically, the simplest way I can explain it is that it's pulling energy out of the air. Rabbit hole time. So, Tesla coils work using copper, some other things, but most importantly, copper, okay? So buildings like this, hang on, buildings like this one, and this one, you see the roof, that dome up there, hang on, this, see how it's green? That's what happens to copper when it's oxidized, exposed to the air, right? And the elements and rain and all those things, okay? Hold on, I have more. Something else you'll see a lot is these things up here. Oh, I can't point that high, but up on the roof. You see that like kind of spiry antenna looking thing? Hold on, I have more examples. This one here from Louisiana. More, you know, metal, spiry looking things. This one here is from New Jersey. Nice cymatic pattern in the middle, but also all along the roof. You see those little bumps? Those are green. Why? They're made of copper. Please hold. This one is in Manhattan. Beautiful. This one's one of my favorite examples. This is in Albany, New York. Look at all the bumpies. You see all the bumpies and like these thingies? That guy and this guy? Okay? You see what I'm seeing? Okay. So, Nikola Tesla got his idea for the Tesla coil from somewhere. I happen to be partial to the idea that he understood what was going on with those buildings and why they had copper on the roofs and spires and those little nodes and all of that stuff. And he understood that you could grab energy right out of the air. Then he built the Tesla coil. But you see, building a Tesla coil, it's pretty expensive. It was a pretty large scale project. So he needed some funding. Who did he turn to? Our good friend J.P. Morgan. Yeah? Now for anybody who didn't already Google J.P. Morgan, let me just share with you a couple of things that he was best known for. He was a tech giant for the day. He owned the company that made electrical wiring, the company that made the coating that went around the wiring, you know, like the rubber that goes around it, and also the railway that transported those items from point A to point B. So, you know, he was big into electricity. Sort of. I'll just read this for you. Tesla was eventually undone by what he called ignorant, unimaginative people consumed by self-interest, powerful men that sought to protect the immensely profitable low-tech industries they had spent a lifetime building. I wonder who he could have been talking about.
Can I blow your mind right now? Okay. Have you ever asked yourself why we went to the moon? Right? Let that sink in. Chris and I were talking about this week because his dad was born in 1961, and he remembers watching the Apollo 11 mission on television, but NASA never gave a formal reason for the mission. Right? And it's an awfully long way. It's an awfully expensive and complicated endeavor just to bring back some samples of moon rocks. Right? Is it not far more likely that we were invited there in order to bring back something of extreme value? And if you're asking yourself, well, what is the thing that we brought back? Well, ask yourself this question. How is it that computers in the 1960s, and your dad remembers this, were the size of an entire room? Right? But almost overnight in the early 70s, computers now can fit on your desk. How's that possible? And if you really want to go down this rabbit hole with me, you're probably asking yourself, well, why would a hyper-advanced extraterrestrial race give us nanotechnology in exchange for nothing? Well, it wasn't in exchange for nothing. And all you have to do is look at the timeline. In 1952, we discover the polio vaccine. And next thing you know, in 1961, John F. Kennedy is announcing that we are going to the moon. I think you can put two and two together.
What? Very strange stuff. Look at this. Some good vibes ready here is doing the kinesis stuff, my friends. Huh?
Something huge is happening. We all know it. We can all feel it. Maybe not all of us. I think some people are still in denial. But I think I've got some answers. I'm making this video because I've been doing some research and it's shed a lot of light on what is going on currently, why and how this has come to be. After I found a link to what I thought was going on, and I saw that I was actually right in my suspicion and my theory, something really strange happened. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced this. I suspect a lot more of us are experiencing this right now because a lot of people in my comments have mentioned something happening that's very similar. I felt as if I had entered some kind of stream of consciousness or entered a frequency or picked up some sort of station, is what it felt like. But I knew and understood things that I didn't know or understand previously. There was a huge amount of information that I am going to be trying to break down in a series of videos, but I just want to give you an overview. So here is what I think is happening. The orbs and the lights that we're seeing are plasma, but plasma is not what we have been led to believe it is. Plasma is a vehicle for consciousness. Technology has created a set of circumstances that have literally disrupted and affected space-time. What we experience as reality is changing as a result of what we've done. We are creatures of energy and vibration, and what we're about to find out and experience is the reality of that it's not just a theory, it's not just some sort of bizarre research, it's real. We are creatures of energy and vibration, and our energy and vibration has been affected in multiple ways by multiple things, which I'm going to talk about later. But what you need to understand is that your energy, your attention, your thoughts, what you focus on matters as a whole. Right now, we are in a unique position where our energy as a collective is greater than it has ever been right now. Various things have changed our frequency as humans to elevate what we can experience. If you imagine that our senses act as a kind of receiver to signals that we are picking up, what is happening, the vibrational frequency of the earth is changing. The Schumann resonance is changing. And as a result of all the extra energy, if you want to call it that, in the world, because of technology and because of the research that we've been doing, That has enabled a set of circumstances that mean that we can be at this point in time. Governments around the world know this. Governments have been lying to us. They have been literally building a society to lower our vibrational frequency, to lower our awareness to what they know, which is if we utilize energy, if we focus our awareness, it matters. It makes a difference. Our collective focus can change everything. Research about plasma and consciousness proves that there is more to consciousness and our world than we have been led to believe. This is bigger, much bigger than we've been told, and I think we're about to find out how much that system is about to. I know this is a lot of information and it might sound overwhelming, but this is a good thing. This is an awakening. This is an opportunity for humans collectively, as a human race of people, to change everything.
Hello, my friends. Thanks for watching all this week. From what we've just had, have you gotten to see the different perspectives that other light beings like yourself have out there? What is it that was mind-catching or mind-blowing to you? Tell us down below, my friend. And as you do so, you can also help the channel in growing by hitting the like button. I believe you have already subscribed and hit that notification bell so that you can always be updated when a good vibes video pops up. Now, my friend, for that, I'll reward you with something from the Book of Wisdom. The Book of Wisdom is this one called the Bible or the Guide of Life or the Constitution of Human Beings. Today, it tells us from Isaiah 61:10, I delight greatly in the Lord, for my soul rejoices in my God. For he has clothed me with garments of salvation and arrayed me in a robe of righteousness. As a bridegroom adorns his head like a priest, and as a bride adorns herself with her jewels. For as the soil makes the young plant come up, and a garden causes seeds to grow, so the sovereign Lord will make righteousness and praise spring up before all nations. Wonderful. Very, very wonderful. Let's talk with this mighty creator that the book is talking about as we wrap up the show. Thank you, dear Lord Father, for this part. Thank you for beginning with us, Father, and this point we've reached. Dear Lord, thank you for the blessings you've passed to this viewer's life. Thank you for the forgiveness of all their sins also. Dear Lord, from wherever they have been watching from, may they see your goodness, Father. As you uplift them, Father, also include us. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we pray, trusting and believing. Amen. See you next time, child of God. Love and good vibes be with you. You can also hit the super thanks button for good vibes sake. Bye bye. Peace.